Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. You are quietly enjoying your beach vacation when simply millions of insects appear and start devouring everyone in their path. Today we will recap the 2014 movie, Bugs. A scientist is out at sea, experimenting with genetic mutation, trying to create a new life form to call his own. When he sees his creation almost complete, the man is amazed and decides to do one last test, that of reproduction, because for a species to survive it needs to multiply. Otherwise it would soon become extinct. To perform the test, he starts heating the chamber in which the insect was, but something goes terribly wrong. The creature has so many offspring that the glass simply breaks while the creature is still breeding, causing millions of insects to break free, including the specimen the man had created. The scientist tries to stop the multiplication, but cannot, because a critical error occurs in his computer, and to prevent even more of those little monsters from being generated, the man decides to turn off the entire power to the ship. And even though he stopped the reproduction, it was already too late, all those millions of insects were loose. Yet the man still thought the situation was under control, but the little creature he created himself killed him, and now that all these bugs are free, they start spreading all over the coast. Not far away, a photographer named Zhang and his assistant Fei are on a plane heading to a supermodel event to take pictures of the girls. The duo works for a magazine publisher famous all over China for their beautiful photos. Arriving at the hotel where the event will take place, they meet Dick, a friend of Zhang's and also one of the magazine's editors. After a brief conversation, and the couple go to their room. A few kilometers away we meet Man Chi, a famous architect who lives with her grandfather, and while the young woman is washing the dishes, one of the escaped insects comes out of the sink drain, which scares the girl and attracts the attention of her grandfather, who when he gets to the kitchen and sees the little creature, he tries to kill it with insecticide and apparently succeeds. After what happened, the old man picks up the insect and runs to his office where he had a vast collection of insects and decides to analyze the newest specimen in his collection. But the bug starts moving again out of nowhere and bites his finger, causing the old man to let go of it thanks to the pain, and allowing it to escape down the same drain it came in. A few minutes later, the two are already in the car on their way to the beach hotel, and the old man sees some very strange movements in the distance in the ocean. Back at the hotel, a group of bandits are preparing to clean out the guest's room while everyone is on the beach, including among them, Lao, the boy from the plane who borrowed the magazine from Zhang. In one of the rooms, Zhang and Fei are having a moment alone, but are interrupted by Dick, who brings them a cart with several things that the photographer asked for, to surprise the girl and propose to her. While Dick is giving Zhang tips, Fei goes to the shower and the photographer starts to rehearse, but is interrupted by his friend, making the young man leave his request for later at a time when they were alone. Since he had to leave to take the pictures, the man keeps the wedding ring in one of the drawers of the bedside table, and they go downstairs. As soon as the beach party starts, one of the bandits rips some wires in the engine room, causing all the cameras to turn off. Taking advantage of the fact that the entire monitoring system is deactivated, Lao and his friend pretend to be hotel employees and break into several rooms, taking all the valuables they can find, including the ring that Zhang has been saving to propose to Fei. On the beach, Man Chi is called to make a speech as guest of honor, because although she is not one of the competitors, she was the architect who designed the entire hotel. While the girl is giving her speech, several insects start crawling out of the pool drain. In one of the rooms that Lao was robbing, a drunk woman arrives, and thinking that he would get something out of it, he starts to hug her, but the girl simply vomits in his face, leaving him totally dirty. After receiving that gush of vomit, the perverted thief goes to the bathroom to clean himself, and while he is admiring himself in the mirror, a few bugs crawl out of the drain and into his trouser bar. A few seconds later, the thief sneezes, and along with the secretion, one of the insects comes out of his nose. As he watches what has just come out of him, the man feels something walking across his face, and terrified he starts beating himself to kill what was walking on his skin, but it is totally useless. The only thing he can do is watch as his body is devoured from the inside out until there is nothing left. At the same time, believing that his accomplices had already managed to take the valuables, the thief who was keeping the cameras off the air tries to fix the wiring so that the security guards do not suspect that there is something wrong and end up going there. But as soon as he turns the cameras back on, the lights go out, and looking around, the man sees several insects walking along the wall. The poor guy barely has time to scream. He is attacked and killed in a few seconds. While a security guard as perverted as Lao is busy reading an erotic magazine, one of the cleaners enters the elevator to clean it, but is caught by the bugs, dying within seconds. As soon as the girl disappears in front of the cameras, the head of the security team says that some guests were complaining that the hotel's Wi-Fi signal is not working, and tells the perverted employee to check the cables in the machine room, but as soon as he enters the elevator, the man is equally attacked by the bugs. Nearby, Fei and Zhang are arguing, because the girl is jealous after discovering that her boyfriend and Man-Chi have already had a relationship. In the middle of the fight, the girl complains that he never asked her to marry him. The photographer then runs to the bedside table to get the ring and finally propose, but realizes that the ring has been stolen, and frustrated thinking that the boy was fooling around, Faye leaves the room. At that moment, one of the robbers enters the elevator and is startled when the security guard's radio falls from the ceiling. Wondering where it came from, the man goes up to see what's in the pit and comes across the security guard's dead body. Frightened, he runs out of the elevator and runs into another employee, who begins to chase him. In the sea, a large mass of insects is swimming towards the shore, forming a tsunami that drags and devours several bathers from the inside out. At this moment, chaos begins to spread throughout the hotel, with everyone running for their lives. In the middle of the rush, Zhang sees a lone girl who was crying because she got lost and decides to pick her up to try to take her to her mother. Once he arrives at a safe place, the photographer finds Man-Chi's grandfather asking for his granddaughter, and in response one of Kevin's security guards says that she is with him on his yacht. Kevin is a very snobbish and self-centered person, the son of a billionaire who is sponsoring the event. In the camera room, the security guards tie up the thief and start interrogating him, until they notice movement around the hotel and run to try to help, leaving the man there alone, who manages to free himself using a pair of scissors that were on the table. As soon as he is free, he sees on camera Zhang using a blowtorch to burn the insects and has the idea to go to the kitchen to get some cylinders and take them to the elevator. Arriving there, the man opens the valves, causing all the gas to leak. In an attempt to save himself, the thief begins to climb the maintenance ladder in the pit, but begins to be attacked, and realizing that he is going to die anyway, the man takes the heroic step of taking his lighter and throwing it into the cylinder, which generates sparks on impact and an explosion throughout the hotel. The fireball it generated killed all the insects inside, giving the people who were previously trapped a chance to finally get out and try to escape. Zhang goes to the elevator to see what has happened, and there he finds the thief's body completely charred, and along with it, he also finds his wedding ring. Happy to find the object again, the photographer takes the box and puts it in his pocket to ask Faye to marry him as soon as they are safe. While everyone is rushing to get out of the hotel, Zhang and a few other people decide to try to save the people on the yacht together with Kevin. In the middle of the ocean, the billionaire is together with Man-Chi, Dick and other girls when they spot in the distance an abandoned ship. Thinking that there might be something valuable or at least some drinks in the vessel, the billionaire tells the editor to go swimming there. The man even tries to refuse, but under pressure from the rich man he gives in. It turns out that this ghost ship belonged to the scientist who created the bugs that started all this chaos, so that is where that first monster was, but much bigger and deadlier than before. Not knowing what awaits him, Dick climbs into the boat and begins to explore the place looking for someone, but the only thing he finds are the abandoned and sea-corroded rooms. Even in fear, the editor continues his exploration, and after descending a ladder, he finds a box full of alcoholic beverages, and just as he was about to leave, the giant insect grabs him by the leg, killing him instantly. Worried about Dick, Kevin calls the girls to go to the ship. Arriving there, he finds the box, and believing that his friend was downstairs looking for more drinks, he goes downstairs to look for him. While walking through one of the corridors, a whole horde of insects pass by the billionaire, who holds onto the ceiling so as not to be caught, and soon after passing the man, they go up to the giant creature and give themselves up as food. According to Man-Chi's grandfather, these bugs must have been created based on the DNA of the praying mantis. As far as the old man could tell, after feeding, they stop attacking and go to the giant female to be devoured. Just like the praying mantis, the female devours the male to get enough nutrients to lay hundreds of eggs. While the female devours her suitors, Kevin has the stupid idea to throw an empty can at the monster, and as expected, the only thing he manages to do is to get its attention. The billionaire even tries to run, but is caught by the legs that are devoured. Desperate to realize that his entire lower body has been consumed, Kevin screams even louder, but is silenced when the insect devours the rest of his body. On deck, Man-Chi hears the man's desperate cries and decides to look for him. When she gets to the ladder, the girl comes face to face with the creature, and in order not to be caught, the girl locks herself in a room and hides in a corner, but when she looks to her side she sees the corpse of some of the ship's former crew members, and is startled. When they finally arrive at the ship, Zhang and his group find the bodies of the other people who were left on the deck already dried up after being consumed by the insects. As they realize that Man-Chi's body is not there, they decide to walk around and look for her and other possible survivors. Halfway there, the group encounters the giant female, and in order not to be devoured, Zhang and Faye hide in a room, but the creature manages to break down the door and tries to pull the girl by the leg with its long and disgusting tongue, leaving a wound on her ankle. To save his beloved, the photographer takes an iron bar and shoves it into the giant insect, making it release Faye and momentarily retreat. Zhang takes advantage of the gap and bandages the wound with a piece of cloth. Meanwhile, one of Kevin's security guards who came along with Zhang and the others runs to another floor, where he starts looking for something to defend himself and finds a rifle. With the weapon in hand, the man goes back to kill the monster and save his friends. At the same time, Man Chi's grandfather finds it locked in, trying to save his granddaughter, takes a fire extinguisher to try to break the door down, but the noise that the old man makes attracts the female's attention. His only choice was to take an axe and swing it at the monster's head, but the only thing it manages to do besides cause a slight pain is to be thrown to the side, and just as it is about to be devoured, the security guard arrives with his shotgun and starts shooting at the monster. Trying to help, Faye grabs a chainsaw and runs awkwardly towards the female, but ends up breaking a high-tension cable that was on the ceiling. Realizing that they would be more trouble than help, the security guard tells the couple to get out of there while he distracts the giant insect. They then start to run towards the ladder, and halfway up the ladder the girl lets go of her chainsaw, but to the group's misfortune, the gun that was with the security guard locks up and they lose the best chance they had of getting out of there alive. Since they had no other option, the group starts running towards the exit, and when they finally reach the stairs, the band that covered Faye's wound gets caught in a piece of wire. Trying to catch the trio, the insect that was already dizzy after suffering so much damage comes at high speed towards the group, knocking the ladder out of place, letting go of the girl and falling soon after. As the female went straight past, the group runs in the direction they came, and in the middle of the way, Kevin's security guard is thrown against the wall and falls to the ground, having his head devoured by the monster next. After the meal, the insect chases them again, but ends up touching the cable that the girl had broken and takes an electric discharge that leaves her confused for a few seconds. Faye then takes advantage of this gap to grab the chainsaw again and moves towards the female while Zhang and Man Chi prepare a way to electrocute the bug. Where did Man Chi come from? Well, the girl was helping her injured grandfather, and upon hearing the sound of the chainsaw, she leaves the old man in a corner and goes to help her friends. Anyway, with the young girl's help they manage to paralyze the creature using electricity, but Zhang ends up pulling the cable more than he should, which ends up cutting the electric current and gives the insect time to recover and hit him. To save the man she loved, Faye runs towards the two and uses the chainsaw to cut off the monster's head, causing a pile of extremely disgusting goo to fly over her and Zhang. Reassured that they have finally killed the murderous female, Man Chi goes to her grandfather while Zhang and Faye sigh with relief. When suddenly the severed head simply regains consciousness and starts chasing the man, but becomes motionless again a few meters later. With everyone on deck, Zhang finally asks Faye to marry him, and Faye accepts. Just when everyone is calmly thinking they have managed to escape, the mutant head simply flies out the door in the couple's direction. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.